Welcome back to Lost in Theaters, the podcast where we talk about movies that have, and I looked it up this time, that our description officially says that the limelight of modern culture has not reached, but what? I kind of like slip through the cracks of pop culture more.
Slippery.
Well, I like the idea that pop culture has cracks in it, as opposed to...
I don't know what to make of that.
Maybe?
What?
Anyways, this is the podcast where we discuss obscure movies.
Pop culture has cracked.
And help you guys find out if you might want to watch them. And here's the thing. This is why this is useful. I have never seen The Matrix. Ruth, did you know this?
I have not seen The Matrix.
You saw Inception.
Yeah, I saw Inception.
Yeah, I haven't seen Inception either. But they're both on my list, right? Of, like, movies that one day I'm gonna watch, and it's gonna be super awesome.
And instead, you're watching My Cat from Space?
But here's the thing. There are movies that should be on my list that I've never even heard of before.
Uh-huh.
And we're here to help you put movies on your list, or potentially avoid movies, you know?
Yeah,
find out which ones should go there, which ones shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this week...
Well, do we have any announcements for today? Or is that
today?
I don't know.
Our podcast is now on Spotify and, wait for it, Apple Podcasts.
Woo!
So you can find us there, folks.
Hi, Apple people.
Okay. This week. Oh my gosh.
So are you scarred for life? Just disclaimer. I happened to walk into the room while she was watching the movie for this week's episode. And I've never heard my sister shriek before, like, quite like that.
It was
like,
so
the
bad.
Cringing horror. I've never seen anyone's face like that before.
It was such a mistake, Ruth.
Are you okay?
I'm gonna be fine. I'll endure. Oh my goodness. So the movie is called...
So no, you're not okay.
The movie is called Bug.
No. Why did you do it?
It came out in 1975, okay? And so, I just wanted to branch out, right? I was thinking, we'll do different eras, different genres, and so there's certain genres where it's hard to find movies with, when we decided we're gonna stick to, PG-13 or below for now, for movies, and, maybe we'll go above
Coming
that.
soon. Rated R.
Ooh. Maybe. Who knows?
What was that response?
I don't know. What I'm saying is, this movie... so science fiction movies are surprisingly hard to find PG-13 versions of,
I mean, have you looked up, why that might be, or are there, no reviews?
Besides the classics, like Star Wars and Star Trek.
Everything's R-rated?
Not everything, but it's generally harder to find, generic...
But is that because, someone dropped a shirt at some point, or because, there's blood for, 5 minutes?
I don't know, Ruth. I'm not sure.
Don't they have a website for that?
I'm
the
sure.
parent guide sheets?
The parent guidance. No, the guidance. Parent guidance things.
Parental guidance is a movie.
It is. We've seen it.
We have?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's about those grandparents.
What?
They come and
with the imaginary kangaroo.
Yeah, you take your repair
and the square and
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. You killed Kevin.
Yeah, that was really hard.
It's pretty exciting. Anyways, this movie is PG, but it's also a thriller, and I was like, "What? This could be great. Maybe." Let me tell you, they have improperly rated this movie. It should be PG-13, if not R. They need, a scale. It's not quite rated R, because it's definitely not, gory, per se. But it's
I do not like the expression you're making.
It was so bad, Ruth! If I had watched this as a child, I would be so scarred! Oh my god.
Hang on. Is this one of those things where it's as a child you wouldn't get it?
No.
Okay.
You get it, Ruth. You get it so bad. Okay, so this was released by Paramount, like I said, in 1975. And one of the reasons this movie is hard to find in lists of things, well, when you look it up, is because its name is just Bug.
Just Bug.
If you just look up Bug movie,
Yeah.
You're not gonna find it. You gotta be really specific in finding it.
So, like, what, the year and the
the year. If you say,
studio?
like, bug thriller,
Paramount?
Paramount 1975, you'll find it. You
Cool.
know, it shouldn't, it really needs, and a part of me is like, why is this not put on lists of horrible movies? Not horrible movies. I don't mean, like, bad movies, but I mean, like, there's the classic, like, thrillers and, like, horror movies where they're, like, PG... They're, like, what a movie... Friday the 13th and, Silence of the Lambs?
Sure. That's cannibals, right?
The one with the lady in the chair.
What?
Who's not really a lady. Or like,
The Mummy?
no, the Bates Motel one.
Oh.
Which one is that?
I have no idea.
I don't know either. I don't watch these movies on principle because I don't like getting really scared.
Casey watched The Bates Motel.
I don't think it's called that one, though. It's called something else. We'll remember in 40
Really?
minutes after the podcast is over.
Cool.
We'll be like, oh, yeah. No.
Yep.
So I don't generally watch these, but this, like, I was like, you know, I'm sure it'll... I just thought it was gonna be okay.
It's okay, Rachel. It's over now.
It's over now.
So after those preliminary comments...
Right. For people who want zero spoilers, that's some information for you on that subject.
Really sold it there.
Yeah. Well, like it... Okay, here's the thing. It is definitely, like, you get... if you're, like, watching a movie to get scared, this is, like, a movie that does that for you. Like, some people do. Some people, like, want to watch a movie that makes them scared.
Now, people who want to do that are aware of different kinds of scared.
Yes.
So what kind of scared are we talking about?
That's what I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
So the thing is, it'll get you, it's very, like, situationally, like, ah! You know, like, oh my gosh, I know what's going to happen. It's like, you know what's going to happen, and you watch it happen, and you're like, ah!
Like The Office.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Nothing like that. It's not like that at all. See, here's the thing, though. There, for the people, there's a slight, I mean, the title of the movie is called Bug, so let me just say, if you're, like, not a bug person, do not watch this. Like, if you're like, oh, I'll be okay, I'll just get scared, but if you're like, if bugs make you, like, if you're like, if you know yourself and you're like, bugs are just, I can't do bugs, no! Don't go near this thing!
Did you watch the Buffy the Vampire episode where their teacher is a praying mantis?
No.
Okay.
Is it a woman and does she eat a man's head?
Yes.
What a premise.
I mean, I really just spoiled that. I'm really sorry. But, like, I mean, it's kind of obvious from the outset.
Right, I mean, I just
shouldn't be
guessed
saying
it.
that, though.
I guessed the plot of the whole episode just now.
Well, no, there's
Oh.
more plot to it, so
okay.
I realize that it's not that bad.
Okay, good.
But, like, dang, man.
Yeah, so if bugs freak you out, don't watch this. It's worse than the Aunt MacGyver episode. Did you ever see the
No, I
MacGyver
didn't.
Aunt episode?
I
Joseph
heard you
and
freaking out about it, though.
To this day, Joey and I talk about it, and the thing is, we can't find it on any of, like, we watched MacGyver on Netflix. We went back to look for it just so we could, like, find it. We couldn't find it. It was the most horrifying episode of MacGyver we have ever seen, and this was worse, okay? It was worse than that, Ruth. It was horrible. It was so bad. Also, again, small spoiler but, you know, if you're wondering what's coming, just, cat lovers shouldn't watch this movie.
Well, that knocks me out. Right out.
Just on principle, like, if there's some, there's just one cat that suffers.
Oh, no.
But it's enough to make, if someone, like, really loves cats, it would just ruin the whole thing. And you're like, I can't, it's just done, I'm done. Yeah, I'm not interested anymore. So, yeah, just heads up. People who love cats, like, really love cats and are, like, you know, but some people...
This is one of your main disclaimer points?
Look, I have a sister who loves cats, okay? I think about cats a lot.
But, like, not, like, specific gore issues or,
Oh, no, Ruth. Because here's the thing. Now we'll enter into, like, the medium spoiler section, okay? Gore, it's not a gore thing. Okay? There is, like I said, there's a cat that suffers.
There's just so much screaming echoing from your computer.
There's a cat that suffers, and there's some, like, it's alarming, but it's not gory, and there's definitely like you see cat skull and it's sad and it's awful. Anyways.
Ooh.
But let me just say, gore isn't the problem. Let me just give you the low spoiler like premise of the movie, okay?
Are we about to scar our listeners?
Just heads up, everybody! So, there's an earthquake in rural California. You know,
nice.
like...
Why did you put that in quotes?
I just realized I don't know what rural California is, but that's what in my head.
Oh, okay.
It was in California, and then I was like, but I thought it was rural, and I was like, so together it's rural California, and I was like, I've never really thought about rural California before. So it's rural, there's an earthquake, and the ground opens, and,
This is a Buffy episode.
Yeah, I think sorta, maybe.
Like every other episode, the ground.
Gosh, the ground just
Sorry,
opens.
keep going.
Okay, so what happens, the idea is that, mysterious, like, cars start exploding, and it sort of, like, gets kind of end timesy just a little bit.
Yeah, Buffy.
Sorry. But, one guy figures out pretty quick that it's all related to these bugs that have come out of the crack in the ground.
Okay.
And then the story just goes from there.
Okay.
So, do you have any questions that a medium spoiler person may want to ask, Ruth? Prodding, inquiring questions.
What are the graphics like?
Oh, it's,
like
yeah.
the special effects. Like, what's going on there?
Yeah, it's, I'm trying to think of a comparable. So it's 75, so it's not as, like, high budget as Indiana Jones. Like, Indiana Jones definitely had, like, stunts and moving parts, and it was crazy, right?
Face melting.
The whole that thing. Yeah, but, or Star Wars, you know, which had, you know, lots of...
Well, you can't compare to Star Wars.
Yeah. So it doesn't have the need for, like, that sort of graphics.
Like, are the bugs puppets?
Oh no, Ruth. They look so real. They just look so real.
That was the question.
I think they put prosthetics on bugs or something, because, like, oh my gosh, Ruth, they look so real, and Ruth, they're so big.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
They're just too large, Ruth.
I'm really sorry.
Any other questions?
Yeah, that was about it.
There are humans that you follow in the story, so...
That's a weird comment.
It's not...
Are you telling me that this is mostly following, like, a specific insect?
No, but there are, like, people who interact around the insects that you learn
So
about.
the insects really are more the focus.
They're sort of like, and we're back at The Office. They're sort of like Jim and Pam in The Office, where they're not the focus of the story, but everybody wants to get more of Jim and Pam on screen, and they're like, I really want to see more of their dynamic because they're so cute.
Do the bugs eat people?
I can't tell you yet! I can't tell you!
Okay, that's concerning.
To the major spoiler section. So I can have
I'm sorry, everybody.
a small breakdown.
Okay. Well, does that conclude our medium spoiler
Let's
section?
do it, Ruth. We're on to major spoilers. Ruth, it was so bad. Oh my gosh.
Well, I have a roll of Kleenex here if you need that.
So the ground opens up, right? And these bugs come out. And through a series of events, the one family loses 2 members to a car explosion.
What? Why are the cars exploding?
You'll learn. You'll figure it out.
Okay.
Okay, and then the other guy, and they're, like, traumatized, and they're talking, and then it's night, and one guy goes walking in the desert just to sort of, like, cool down, and he sees these, like, flashes of light on the ground. And the premise, this was so well thought out, and it was based on a book, actually, called The Hephaestus Plague. And it's these bugs, Ruth, and they're, like, bigger than cockroaches, okay? Bigger than cockroaches, but they look like cockroaches, but they're bigger.
Can you, like, tell me how bigger?
Like
the size of your laptop?
Like 3 to a shoe. Like an average shoe.
Oh, the 3 per shoe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
average shoe.
I only think it's because there were like shots of like looking at the ground and seeing his feet.
Okay.
And so that was sort of that's why that came to mind.
No, that's not bad.
So, he's like looking at the ground and there's these lights and actually he looks and there's these bugs and their behinds just are like, and there's like sparks and things are like, bushes are like lighting on fire and these bugs going, and then this is when the horrible thing happens and they actually attack a cat and they kill the cat with their light up butts and they're like,
what?
It's awful.
What?
Okay, and so this guy, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was sort of like, wow, they're really...
That's really bizarre.
Okay, so then this guy, it turns out he's going to school at a university, and he goes to visit the scientist, who happens to be married to a lady we met earlier in the story, which I didn't mention. And so they go and they talk to this guy, and he's like, so are there any, like, bugs that can, like, produce fire on their own? And he's like, no. But he's like, look at this cat. Also, small note, they go to lunch in a cafeteria, and he's like, come on, it's lunchtime, let's go have lunch. And it is the emptiest cafeteria I've ever seen in a movie ever. I think there's like 3 people in it, and they're just sitting there talking, and it's supposed to be lunchtime. There's nobody there, Ruth. So that was weird.
Okay.
Small happy tangent for Rachel's sake. Okay. So they go and he takes them to see these bugs. And he picks them up and starts looking at them, and their behinds go, right? And it turns out they have these little things on their butts.
little hand gestures that would make that sound.
Yeah.
You can't really see that,
Well,
but it's like little crab claws that just kind of like pull away from each other and extend.
Yeah. So, see, here's the thing. They have these things on their behinds that they look like little feelers that would be on the front, but they're the back, and they work like flint and steel, and they just like rub really fast together, and they create a spark with their energy. And they go, and that's where the spark comes from. And he's like, wow, this is crazy.
Did they make up an insect for this?
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
I think so. I'm not looking it up. I can't know if these things exist. Nobody tell me, okay? This is horrible. So then he's like, the scientist guy does a bunch of his scientist things, and he's like, what's the deal with these bugs? How are they getting everywhere? Because they're so slow. They're like very slow, low energy creatures with light up butts. And he's like, why? How are they getting places? And eventually there's like a series of events, and we find him at his house, and he figures out that they're riding in cars. Like, they get into the tailpipes, and actually that's what's exploding the cars, is they like chew on things, and then they light, and then it causes explosions.
Okay.
So he gets all of the ones out of his car, and he puts them into jars and takes them inside, and then does experiments on them, and they just casually talk about animal experimentation at some point. They're like,
Nifty.
yeah, we figured out all the stuff about these bugs. Yeah. Oh yeah, actually this guy, quick backtrack, when we meet this fellow, he's talking to his class about animal communication, and there's just a squirrel in his room that he like holds out his hand to and goes, "Krrr, krrr." What? Krrr. And then the creature comes and like crawls up his arm, and he's like, what? Yeah, once we could talk to animals. So he's just, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Fun fact about that guy. So, man. So he does all this, he figures this out, and here's the thing. He's figured all this out and gone back to the lab, but he hasn't told his wife. And he missed one of the bugs.
Oh no.
Major spoiler. And we know what the bugs do, right, Ruth?
They set things on fire?
Set things on fire. And they're like weirdly sticky. This is actually the second one. The first horrifying thing that happens is some girl picks up a telephone and it's on the phone, Ruth, and the thing just sticks to her ear and lights up, and it's so terrible because it's like actual fire attached to her head, and you just want to smack her in the face and make the bug.
This isn't biologically possible.
It's awful.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
It's awful because you see the bug in the film. The filming is so good. You see the bug on the phone waiting for her, and then she doesn't see it when she picks the phone up, and then she puts it by her head.
But, like, how does it catch her on fire?
It's a little behind. It doesn't catch her on fire yet.
People don't catch on fire.
No, she didn't catch on fire. It's, like, burning her.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ow.
And it's this horrible, horrible, horrible scene, Ruth, when you knew it was coming the whole time. But then it happens with the guy's wife. Then this lady catches on fire, and it involves just because her clothes catch on fire and her hair, and it's terrible. But see, that one we also saw coming because she went out to the garage to get a box, and we saw it on the box. And then we brought the box inside, Ruth, and we saw it not on the box anymore. And then you see it on her back, and you're like, oh my gosh. And see, there's something really bizarre that happens.
So can people not just like pick up the bug and squish it?
No, because they're very
just like its head or something.
The surface of it is hard. The scientist does some experiments later and figures out that they're like pressure sensitive, so if you puncture them with like a needle on their stomach, they explode.
Ew.
Yeah. Here's the thing though, when she's in the act of getting like you know the bug's there, and you know she's about to die, and you're just like, she is looking for a recipe to make for dinner. Okay. And she's going through this cookbook, and she says a few things, and she settles on chicken mousse.
If that's not the most horrifying thing in the movie, I don't know what is.
I don't know what happened. It's a thing from the 70s, okay? And it's like they could have picked anything for her to make for dinner, right? And they picked the most 70s. And so it stood out to me so vividly. And she describes she's like, I'll need this, and then I saute it, and she does this whole thing. She describes the process of making chicken mousse, and simultaneously you're like, you're gonna die! It was awful! Oh my gosh. So the professor's understandably upset at the death of his wife.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're only maybe halfway through the film. Maybe 3/4 of the way through the film.
That seems like a long time.
It's so long, Ruth. And so he goes through this crisis, and already he spoke to another professor about mating these creatures.
What? No.
I know. Because he's a scientist, Ruth.
No.
Didn't you know?
No.
He talked to the scientist guy, and he's like, why don't we do this? And because of the atmospheric pressure,
why don't we do this?
They can't. And so he's like, well, we can't. And he's like, but what if we had a pressure tank? And the other guy was like, we want him to die, don't we?
Yeah.
And so he gets some other student to make him a pressure tank. He's got everything set up, and now his wife's dead. And now he goes out to the farm, and he kills all the bugs that he can find. And then
how does he kill them?
With his little stick, he turns them on their backs and stabs them.
Oh, and they explode?
Yeah, he's really upset about the whole process, actually. So here's
that would
the thing.
be upsetting.
He sees one last one in the ditch.
Oh no.
And then he says,
he leaves it, doesn't he?
You'll live.
No!
I'll make you live. And he takes it to his pressure tank, and he breeds it with a cockroach. And then we come back, and the couple, there's this really nice couple that I just really wanted more of in the movie. They're just really sweet, and I just thought they were really great. But we don't see more of them. Instead, we see more of this professor fellow, who we see again, and the next time we see him shortly after, like in the movie it's shortly after, but it's more time we know because he has a beard now.
Okay.
And he looks like How to Dad at this point. The you know that YouTube Australian fellow, How to Dad?
You may have shown me a video.
Yeah, about holding the baby.
Yeah.
It's great. Look him up. He's really exciting, folks. Okay, so I thought was another little fun Rachel fact, because oh man. So
we will be taking counselor recommendations after this episode.
No, we will be fine. We'll be fine. So the cockroach dies from the pressure in the pressure tank, because he had to like make this pressure tank, and it's made out of a diver's helmet, which is it's interesting because it had to be small.
Yeah.
Anyway, it makes it out of a diver's helmet. And then but there's still an egg, and Ruth, this egg just grows. And he puts the cockroach under, like, not cockroach, this other bug under high pressure, and it's like a whole thing, and it's a huge thing. And then in the middle of the night it hatches. And the egg is smoking. It's smoking, and like so many baby hybrid roaches come on, and it's awful, and they become adults in 5 hours.
Okay.
Ruth, it's a horrible movie. And then the scientist feeds the mother to the have babies, and they eat her.
That is traditional insect protocol.
Yeah, you're right. It was just awful because he did it as like a way of revenge on the bugs for killing his wife. Okay, and then he breaks down afterwards. It was just this like, what is happening?
So it's the humans that are really the most horrifying?
Yes. Oh no, but the bug deaths are just awful.
Yeah.
And then he can't for some reason lock the bug cage right. So the bugs keep getting out, and he catches them, and these bugs, they eat raw meat, and so it's just a series of horrible things happen, and these weird ones are different. They eat as a single unit, they get out again.
At what point did you start? I don't know. You were closer to the end.
Yeah, it's coming.
Okay.
And then he tries to kill some of them, it doesn't work, and then he's recording himself, and he's like, he thinks that they're listening to him. He says they respond to certain tones in his voice, and
that's interesting.
Ever since, so that at one time they got out, and they might have been eating him, and then he got really mad and brushed them all off and put them in the pressure tank and killed a bunch of them, and he was like, ever since then we've had this connection, they know that I'm in charge. But he continues to breed them.
What?
The fool. And he's like, the bugs are noticing patterns, and they're making patterns on paper, and one day he wakes up in the middle of the night, and all you see is him, and he wakes up, and there's this terrible sound. The music in this movie is so weird because there's so little of it, and then sometimes there's just too much, Ruth, just too much.
This is where I wish we had video, because you're making some really distressed faces.
So he wakes up in the middle of the night, and you see the guy, and then you have these terrible sounds, these buzzing, humming bug sounds, and he just looks so scared, and you turn, and his name is on the wall in bugs. They can spell. They understand. And then he did something like, he said like, yes, and no, or something, and they wrote it out on the board, and then he has a breakdown and runs away, and he's like, what are you? I've gone too far! So at this point, he thinks he's gone too far, Ruth. This is not okay. This is not okay. Oh my gosh, they spell out on the wall, we live.
Okay.
Ruth, it's just not great, because they're just terrible, terrible creatures, Ruth. They've done terrible things to people. So he runs away, and this lovely lady from town comes to give him his wife's Bible. And this is when I had that thing that you were saying. I had to take out the headphones and push it away, Ruth, because it's so well filmed. It's so well filmed. Because you don't see the bugs until you see the bugs. So mad. Okay, and then the bugs bring their egg sac to the big pit.
What?
After they kill her. That's right. So they kill the woman, and it's terrible. And I couldn't watch that part at that point, because it was so...
I feel like you spared us a lot of details.
I did.
Because so far, it's mostly just vaguely funny and weird. Oh. I'll be honest.
No, I'm telling you, if you want to be scared, this is a great movie for it. Because it's like... It's a great day to play rugby, folks.
Wow, your accent really just...
That was really weird.
You're not
I'm
Australian?
I'm having a whirling.
Or New Zealander?
Everything's whirling. Okay, so the scientist friend comes to visit. He comes back. The scientist comes back, and the scientist friend comes to visit. Okay. And he's like, where's my wife? Because his scientist friend is the wife that brought the Bible. He's like, I don't know. He's like, why are you worried? And he's like, I'm coming home in a couple of days. I'm going to fix this. And he's like, great. I don't know, man. So he leaves, and then he finds the woman, and he has a small breakdown.
No kidding.
And... Here's the real kicker, Ruth. He runs back inside and tries to dial the telephone, and they've cut the telephone wires. And you're like, no! Because as it's going along, the bugs keep getting smarter, and you don't know. It's awful. And he goes out to look at the pit, and the pit is glowing. Periodically, it's going like... That's the sound of the glowing pit. Oh. And then, Ruth, bugs fly out of the pit, but the bugs are the size of birds. point, you know, I know, the watcher knows that these bugs are gonna ruin the world. You're like, they have to go back. Oh my gosh. So he runs inside and he tries to do something, and then they bust in, land on him, and they light him up, and he actually catches fire, and his clothes catch fire, and then he runs and falls into the pit, and then here's the trippy part. You just see him, he falls into the pit, and then it's like they played that bit of film that they played with the bugs flying out of the pit. They played it backwards. And the bugs flew back into the pit, and then the gap collapses.
Oh.
And so as the credits roll, because the credits roll here, like the crack in the earth goes down and gets smaller, and that's where the movie ends. Oh my gosh. It was so, like, I just can't, Ruth. I just can't. It was such an intense movie. It was so buggy.
So I forgot to ask about the music. Can you explain how that worked?
So there's little to no music at first.
Yeah.
At first you're like, oh, there's no music. And then, when you see the bugs, there is music. And I think it's partly because there's so little action with the bugs. When they were, like, designing it, they were like, oh, we have to put music because we don't want just shots of bugs.
But now it becomes a trigger, too.
But see, here's the thing. Yeah, so, like, when you hear that music, you know the bugs are around.
Yeah.
And they play with that so well. And the music becomes like the sound of the bugs. It's really well... I'm telling you, this movie is actually very well done.
Yeah.
For someone, this is persuasive that they want to watch it. I don't know who it is. Someone's like, yeah, I want to be scared out of my pants.
I'll be honest, it's vaguely appealing.
It shouldn't be!
I'm sorry.
It's so bad! Not bad. It's a good movie. I'm so alarmed.
I have, like, an actual interest in insects.
I know. It's that one cat scene, Ruth. I just think you would be so put off.
I mean, bugs eat things.
It's true. It's a sad cat situation.
I just can't really attach moral, I don't know, to insects.
Oh, well, there you go.
They're bugs.
Yeah. Well, Ruth.
Yeah, Rachel.
That's the movie Bug.
Thank you for doing that for us.
I don't think I'm gonna watch another thriller.
Yeah, maybe don't do that.
It was PG, okay? I don't know. I should have remembered the 80s rating system is bunk.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It doesn't even fall, like, on the Chaucer scale, like we established.
I was gonna ask, actually.
Yeah. It's like, we need a second scale.
Well, I was thinking, like, Chaucer's scale was more like...
Yeah. No, I know. There's, like, you can...
Not graphic, exactly.
Yeah, no, this is more like the Hitchcock scale, but I've only seen half of a Hitchcock movie, so I can't really speak to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I only saw the rear window, half of it, maybe 3/4.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of, like, anything scary I'm familiar with.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Existential dread.
On the Kierkegaard scale. Here's what it is.
No.
What's the play about the guy who sells his soul to the devil?
Faust.
That
was
okay. Phantom?
That's not scary. Is it? I
don't know.
Is this like spicy things? Am I just bad at this?
We should probably... I know. We'll think about it and we'll bring one next week. And then I'll put this movie on
We'll
the
take
scale.
suggestions. How about that?
Sure. If you have a suggestion, guess what, guys? We have a Twitter.
Oh, yeah!
You can follow our podcast on Twitter, Lost in Theaters, at Lost in Theaters. That's us. We'll just sort of tell you when our podcasts come out if you want to know and give you updates.
They come out when?
Fridays, yes. Yeah. We come out on the regular on Fridays. Yeah.
They let us outside on Fridays. Regularly.
Totally. Well, this is all, folks. Thanks so much for listening. Anything to say to the listeners, Ruth, as we close?
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.